Cool. Thanks, Sam.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
All right, let's do this. Okay. Places of cultural significance enrich people's lives, often providing a deep and inspirational sense of connection to community and landscape, to the past and to lived experiences. They are historical records and are important as tangible expressions of the Australian identity and experience. Places of cultural significance reflect the diversity of our communities. Following the feedback from assignment 1, in my additional research, I've decided to slightly modify my topic. The previous topic, heritage areas and how they are successful, was very limiting and restricting my research. The new topic I have chosen is heritage conservation areas. Is community support important? I've been researching heritage conservation areas specifically and found they are much more common than I originally thought. New South Wales has a large amount of heritage conservation areas, whereas WA has much less. However, this appears to be something that is on the increase. The city of Subiaco, for example, is currently looking to make 3 distinct areas heritage conservation areas: parts of Daglish, parts of Shenton Park, and parts of Subiaco. For this assignment, I have been specifically looking at the proposed Daglish area. The keywords that I've chosen for this assignment have not changed much either. They include heritage, heritage conservation area, and community. The city of Subiaco describes heritage in the following terms. Heritage consists of the places and objects that we have inherited from the past and where we have come from. In other words, it is the things that we want to keep. Heritage is keeping aspects of the built and natural environment for future generations. Those places which are of such value that they enrich people's lives, often providing a deep and inspirational connection to community and landscape, to the past and to the lived experience. They are historical records that are tangible expressions of identity and experience. The protection of that heritage through legislative provisions is part of that recognition. Community support for heritage listed places and conservation areas is very important. In Peter Block's Community, the Structure of Belonging, he discusses the importance of healthy communities. Community is about the experience of belonging. Why is that on? We are in community each time we find a place where we belong. The word belong has 2 meanings. First and foremost, to belong is to be related to and part of something that is a membership. My slides are not working. Oh, there we go. It is a membership in the experience of being home in the broader sense of the phrase. It is the opposite of thinking that wherever I am, I would be better off somewhere else. Heritage conservation areas create an area where the community can belong to a special club and exclusive membership. The initial idea for this research paper came from an article I read this year in the Post newspaper, discussing the possibility of a nearby suburb, Daglish, being converted almost in its entirety into a heritage conservation area. Growing up in Perth, the idea of an individual property becoming heritage listed was very familiar to me. However, the concept of the whole suburb seemed extreme. Research into the topic led to the discovery that in fact is very common in New South Wales, with huge areas of the CBD and surrounding suburbs being listed. Engaging communities in heritage conservation and management process is considered a key component within people-centred approaches. It is about strengthening their ability to participate meaningfully in the process of making conservation and management decisions for themselves and their heritage. In 2013, the New South Wales suburb of Ashby was converted into a heritage conservation area. It was declared heritage conservation due to its high proportion of buildings which had been preserved and retained in the character of their era. It was a blanket order with the exception of 2 light industrial sites. These 2 sites are now being discussed for rezoning to residential. The community feels very strongly that these sites should enter the heritage conservation area in line with all the other residential properties in Ashby to preserve the character of the area. But there is a proposal with the City Council for high-density residential redevelopment instead. Currently, Ashby is 96% low-density housing. The community feel very passionate about their suburb and about maintaining its heritage standards. They are against this proposal and have formed a group called the Ashby Community Group and are trying to stop this overdevelopment. We intend to unify our voices and engage in effective community participation. We will listen. However, we also demand that the Canterbury City Council listen to us. Our community is important to us. We believe Ashby to be unique in its location and heritage conservation status. For this reason, Ashby is a sought-after area. The decisions made about these sites will directly and permanently impact its residents. As affected residents, we have the right to be actively involved in the decision-making about our community. The City of Subiaco has been looking to potentially develop sites, especially around key train stations in their area. Before any major planning, the City wanted to identify and protect areas worthwhile of protection within these areas. It was considered important that any place and/or streetscape of heritage value, which was also valued by the local community, are identified and considered for protection. The first step in this process was to engage the community by asking residents to share their thoughts and opinions about heritage and the future development of their immediate area. This is the map of the proposed area. So Daglish covers that whole area, and the green is the proposed area, so it takes a significant amount of the suburb. Community involvement and the development of this strategic plan is important. There will be a number of opportunities for the community and stakeholders to have their say through the process. For an example, there was a survey sent out to property owners in 2015. 98% of them came back. Some of the key findings from the survey included question 3.1, where they asked about, and the most valued things included 21% for heritage, 50% for trees and greenery being important to them. Let's put back there. 3.1 asked how important it was that the character of the immediate area was maintained. The result is that 70% of the immediate area and wanted to see that retained.
I think we've had some technical issues here.
Community level, and community participation are key focuses. As my research topic itself had been modified, I also modified my objectives. The original vague, and I felt they could be adjusted to better direct my research. The new objectives that I'm going to follow, the main one would be develop a better understanding of what a heritage conservation area is and how they are able to bring value to a community. And then secondly, determine if forming heritage conservation areas have broad community support, and also exploring what local government is doing to generate community support when areas are converted into these heritage conservation areas. My research so far has been predominantly into developing a better understanding of what these heritage areas look like and some different examples to whether they're successful, not successful, see if there is value in them and if they brought value to their respective communities. Exploring the different ones in New South Wales has given me a broad range to look at. I've also been able to research the levels of community support from some of these areas and to hear some of the feedback, especially from the Daglish one through the survey results. The final objective is more focused specifically on the Daglish area here. Heritage is a complex concept that can be defined in many ways. The New South Wales Heritage Office defines cultural heritage in two ways. Firstly, it defines cultural heritage through heritage items, which include landscapes, buildings, structures, relics, places, and other works that are valuable cultural resources that are not renewable and are becoming increasingly scarce. And secondly, it defines the concept through the meaning of heritage items to people. They inspire present and future generations and therefore need a careful consideration by owners, managers, and the community. Community support is integral to the success of heritage conservation areas. Heritage conservation areas create a sense of belonging and a sense of place, while also focusing on the community well-being and encouraging community participation. The sense of belonging is important into human nature. Heritage, therefore, says a lot about who we think we are, and the things that we say from change make certain ideals real and reinforce our identity. That is it.
Right.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay, I've got through to page 12 of 15. Is there any more pages?
Only the
Is it just references, is it?
B and the footnote.
Oh, okay. All right, not a
Photo
problem.
credits.
That was about 10 minutes on the dot, so well done.
Are they loading up?
There's a
If they're
few
loading.
technical issues, I think. I don't know whether you were speaking very
Oh, thank
quickly
you.
or whether the software was taking a sentence and then trying to catch up and spitting it back at me very, very quickly. So if you play it back, you'll know whether it's you or the software. But some of it was quite hard to follow because it was played very quickly. And then there's a few sections which I don't think I heard at all because of these technical issues. So I think definitely send me a PDF of your presentation because I
Okay.
think to give you some meaningful feedback, I'll need to read through it and listen to this a few times and try and fill in the gaps which didn't come through on the audio. In particular, around where you had your couple of pie charts. I think I,
No
I
worries.
lost close to, I think I lost about 30 seconds of your commentary at that point.
Oh, yes.
Um, so yeah, it's quite frustrating. I can tell that you know what you're
Okay.
doing, you're on the right track. Um, but I'll just need to read through it to give you some more detailed commentary on your new objectives. Um, are you happy with the direction you're taking with this?
Yeah, I am, and I feel that like only in the last week that it's kind of coming more together. So I feel much better about it than I did a few weeks ago, and
Right.
I feel like I'm on the right track for the essay now as well. With presentation, scribbled. I haven't kind of done any referencing or anything on it. Is that okay if I just type that up and send it through, or do you need to have all the references on there as well?
I've got your footnotes on here, so that'll be sufficient. It's most important for your final research report that everything is referenced the right
Yeah.
way.
Okay, cool. I'll just
But
tidy it up.
okay, now just looking at your
Yep.
objectives, are you confident that you can, I suppose, answer, let's say, the second objective, determine if forming heritage conservation has broad community support? I think you pretty much argued that it has. You've got the statistics to prove it. Um, Have you have you got any research or anecdotal evidence on why these heritage conservations have broad support?
No, I guess not directly. A lot of the like the Ashby um, issue of the new proposed sites and the passion they have for maintaining them. I don't know if I can't find anything about whether there was support when it first was formed, but I can tell that there's support now that it has happened. Um,
Yeah,
Daglish
your
area, there seems
last
to be quite a lot of support for it to go ahead. People are kind of happy with it. There's always a few objections, but as a whole group,
yeah
yeah, the whole
your
group they
last
seem to be in support of it.
okay. I think your last objective is interesting. You The way I see it is you're saying exploring what local governments are doing to generate community support. So it almost sounds like local governments are trying to push these heritage conservation areas and then hoping that well, and trying to encourage the community to support them. So it seems like it is driven by local government rather than the community, but the community is happy to move along with it. So I just wonder what's in it for the local government in having these heritage conservation areas. That could be an interesting area to explore in terms of how communities are stronger. If you read any local government website, they always talk about sense of community, sense of place, how important it is to be a part of a local community. So their research must tell them, or their experience, that heritage conservation areas do build sense of community. So I think the objectives are quite sound. It's just stating it in your written report, I suppose, and having the evidence to support the argument. So I think you can find
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
And
I know with the Daglish one specifically, the original reason for them proposing the idea in the first place was a report that I have only read partially called the Peel to Perth report, and it was talking about how they wanted to develop the railway or station precincts into high-rise, high-density living. And so they looked into, the city of Subiaco looked into the sort of three areas, which is the Subiaco, Shenton Park and Daglish area, to see what the community thought about this high-density living where they are. And sort of from that, they decided that they would stick with the heritage conservation area instead of the high density in Daglish specifically.
right, okay.
So I guess it was both driven from local government and then supported by the local community in that case.
Yeah, that's interesting because I can see there's a lot of conflict there between obviously high-rise. I think they call it TOD, which is transit-oriented development. So that it's basically trying to get as many people living close to train stations as possible, which means high density, which means high-rise, which is totally non-consistent with the heritage streetscape. So I can imagine within council, there's a lot of conflict between certain interest parties, whether or not they can strike a balance between higher density without spoiling the character of a conservation area. That's probably the challenge for architects.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm just going to scroll through.
And that's good. That gives me some good feedback. Keep going.
Okay. All right. Well, I might leave it at that then. If you can just email me your presentation, and if you were you reading from some notes?
Yes.
Were they in a format that I could read? Were they typed? I guess that's what I'm getting at. Were they typed or were they handwritten, and can I read it? If I'm not asking you to type them
They're
up,
handwritten, but it would not take me long to type it up because it was kind of I just like to read off my hand.
I mean, I may be able to read your handwriting.
It won't take long. That's not a problem at all. It's just whether I need to properly reference it and stuff.
No, look,
No, you won't. That's okay. I will type it up for you and send it through either tonight or tomorrow morning, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's great. I'm just concerned that so much of this dropped out.
Oh no, Sam, I'm happy to. That's fine.
Okay, good. All right. And yeah, I'll be able to give you better feedback if I can actually read what you said in the moments that it all dropped out. So yeah, I'll in the next day or so that'll be fine.
I prefer to get proper feedback. That's great. Thanks so much, Sam.
All right, thanks, Catherine.